Stellar Blade is one of the more interesting games to have come out recently. I think it's easy to dismiss this game due to its large focus on, let's just say, its visual appeal, but once you actually start playing it and get into the meat of the game, it becomes much more obvious what the true focus of this game is, and that's, if you'll allow me to use a bad pun, it's stellar combat. The combat here is a blend of a lot of things. It's a bit like Bayonetta, it kind of reminded me of the newer God of War games, it even has some Souls-like vibes. It all comes together to create a combat system that feels both kind of familiar, yet kind of new at the same time. Most importantly though, it's just super amazingly fun to fight as Eve. The combat's flashy, and it's very satisfying to take down enemies, but it's not a walk in the park. There's a good bit of challenge here, and it's fun to overcome the hurdles that the game throws at you. I've heard a lot of people compare this game to Nier Automata, and I definitely got those impressions at first, but I think the similarities are pretty surface level, both aesthetically and plot-wise. And speaking of the plot, the story here is just okay. It's not horrible, but the characters and voice acting are all pretty flat, and the plot just isn't paced well. The story beats initially are presented at a nice tempo, but eventually the game feels like it just ends out of nowhere without the proper build-up or fanfare. It is worth mentioning that right now this game is only on PS5, which is a bummer. This game wasn't developed by Sony, but it was published by Sony. So, good news is that probably in a year or two this game will eventually go to PC, which I think is a good thing because I do think that Stellar Blade is the type of game that will do really well on PC and with PC audiences. Overall, I really like Stellar Blade. It definitely has some flaws, but I think that the combat is genuinely good enough to make up for the areas where the game just isn't as good.